Today is January 15th, uh, 2017, and Mango say hello to the crowd. And this is an unpleasant topic, and I'm gonna be also discussing why it is an unpleasant topic and how might whole spin work for a human. So, I'm talking about the suicide programming and suicide conditioning. And then I'm gonna be talking about the loop. That means when idea is already programmed in your mind and start to move on. And after that, I'm gonna be talking about the what's the next thing? Well, about the social isolation and how, in my opinion, how that thing works. So I noticed that suddenly I have an influx of suicidal tendencies and more thoughts. And then when I was meditating, of course, I noticed that these impulses are not coming from my own soul into my mind matrix. They are coming from the outside, and I managed to identify both the like amplifier in the person of a local Illuminati, sending really are genuine telepathic thoughts, okay, not synthetic telepathy. And then I also discovered that signal, like artificial intelligence, also working for the same purpose. And then I noticed that all been kind of carefully crafted in a sense of the low income poverty and like a little problems I have, like ear infection and dental problems and so on. So how does it go? First of all, they've been like projecting in my mind clear instructions how to do it, and clear instructions where to buy a rope, where to tie it down, how to find instructions on the internet, how to make a galog, and so on. Then I've been like constantly bombarded with the impressions and ideas why it should be done. Like very soon, your parents gonna die, and it's not gonna be possible for you to be housed anymore and fed. And in order to avoid the homelessness, the best idea for you is to end your life right now. And I was observing this idea, and then of course, I stopped it in my mind, but I was observing how it turns in your mind because I had very strange period when I was 17, when I was also bombarded with that as well, and I managed to get out of it. So then I realized how these things are simply projected into the targeted individuals because if my memory goes back, I now realize that I was also targeted even before, but in different stages. There was the astral phase of targeting 2001, since 2000, 2001, and then, of course, before as well in this telepathic sense. So, uh, go back to that mind program thing. So, what happens is they insert idea in your mind and they insert the fear and urges like a different mechanisms in our already mechanical minds, and then you with your own energy you start spinning spinning and spinning and spinning, and of course you're gonna be helped by the external factors with the new ideas and with the new conditions to push you that way, and then you go. And this is why it's important to understand that suicidal tendencies are not coming from the soul, they are not coming from the source, therefore they're coming from outside. And it's also very important to maintain your mental hygiene to understand what's going on, and this cannot be maintained if a person doesn't have a clear connection to his own soul and a source. Then we are very easily manipulated. So if you have suicidal thoughts, I can understand you, and I can understand how game being played, and of course you're gonna be pushed into direction of consuming drugs, namely alcohol and meth. because these are very effective, very cheap all around, and they are extremely effective in shutting your pineal gland and any kind of eventual spiritual connection. Of course, majority doesn't. Yes, majority of soul people doesn't really have a soul connection, established like conscious soul connection. So then I realized how system is playing with the spirituality. This is in a way connected the topic to that one. Is every soul human seeks the spiritual connection and has spiritual connection with himself one way or another. And how system is playing, it's of course just now on a far broader spectrum, programming you for certain deeds. For example, in a case of Muslim, Muslim feels God, okay. However, he's been pushed into the interpretation of God, which is leading him to the conclusion that he needs to satisfy that God by harming me, and this is the only way with a certainty to get into the heaven. And of course, this is also suicidal way for himself as well. So these games been played on a humanity so many times on so many different levels, but as you can see, it's the same principle. And then in the life of every individual, either suicide bomber or a knife attacker, also conditions gonna be created for him, economic and social conditions to push him in this direction. For example, Palestinians, their families get lots of money, and a house will be rebuilt after Israelis destroy house after suicide bombing or stabbing. So this is also one positive factor for the attack and suicide, and so on. So I think we should understand that violence against us or against other people is not something inherited in our soul nature. Therefore, it must come from the outside source. And parallel to that, when I was meditating on dismantling that and exposing that in my mind, or better to say, when that was being exposed in my mind by her, which is truth, love, right? You call that God. I don't. And she explained me like, those four options you've been preaching about for the targeting individual, which I picked up on the internet a couple of years ago: prison, a mental institution, suicide, homelessness. Well, you have to add the fifth element, which is the inner soul connection, and which is the help what soul can get from other souls and from the source in many different ways. This is the way you need to concentrate into this endless field of possibilities, because I will always find a way to help you if you are quick enough to take that help and see the possibility which is opening to you. So this is what I want to say. No matter how hopeless situation might look like, and some situations are, let's say, pretty hopeless. Imagine being imprisoned in the concentration camp and sick and without any medicinal help or without any food. And, this is one of those extreme situations. But I'm talking about the, let's say, petit bourgeois situations like mine. You have to understand that there is always a way out, and things can easily sort themselves out. So, she was like explaining me the whole absurdity of the. Hey, Mango, what are you doing? I love cats because they make these funny things, totally spontaneous. Yeah, that's all I have to say. And oh yeah, another important element. Like when I was living in Croatia with my mother and my father, it was was my mother which was constantly pushing that fear. What's gonna become of you? How you gonna live? You're not gonna be able to live. And she was like really the source of the utter sorrow and depression in my life. So another thing is you definitely need to detach yourself from the people which are essentially infecting you with negativity. And if you're like somebody like me in Eastern Europe, where most of the people are unemployed, unless you're working for the system, then you're just leftover who can find some $500 job during the touristic season. And if you are like living in most of my nation is really living like that. And in recent years, quite number of Europeans as well live in disadvantaged conditions. Then it's absolutely challenging from the simply existential point. And again, of course, I understand that, but I found my way. The past 5 years, I just simply found my way. Even in Taiwan, I found my way to be away from that source of the utter depression, and called my home in Croatia. Is a never-ending well of depressing thoughts. So think about that. Think about and I cannot tell you how to do it because it's your life, it's your little part of the matrix. You simply need to, again, cliche, listen that inner voice in yourself who's telling you what to do, where to go, and try to purify that thought. So, last words against suicide would be, if you feel these impulses, because they also play with impulses, don't forget, human brain is a biological computer with electrical system inside of impulses and neurons. Our brains are mapped, and easily the invisible hand, the reptilian overlord controller, can hit certain uh, parts of your brain with direct energy, just a little bit, and then it can put you in different moods, and it can play with you either using both synthetic and real telepathy. And um, this also brings me to the trickery of the thoughts. The process when you think that you are thinking, well, it's not that you are thinking, it's that the system is pushing your energy, your soul matrix, into that grid of ideas and thinking they already prepared for you. Or maybe they like have like thousands of different cliches which they can like just email to a certain brain and then play with that person's mind. So I just want to add, when you have like negative monologue in your head, when you're like thinking that you're analyzing something, but you are not thinking, you are essentially talking with a devil. You understand me? This is why it's important to learn how to meditate. And I always suggest two techniques to be learned: Silva method mind control, which is Illuminati method mind control. Just ditch out the advisors in that part of exercise when you are inviting people to talk with you like advisors, and you will understand that when you start doing exercises, of course. And second one is Vipassana. Buddhism, of course, has many good elements. So your goal would be to raise about that level of that thinking. I call it mechanic thinking, into that level of about the thoughts, of intuitive understanding, which of course you can easily reach in states of sukha and piti in a Buddhist meditation, which are like first couple of stages. First is like, so mind that, and mind another thing, that every substance you take in you, and this is why I completely quit drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes and so on. And this was like latest drinking coffee. is precisely to keep my system pure so I can access that level. Okay, that's it. I hope that you found this useful for you.